guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking to you about how I pick my business name and some tips to help you pick a really good business name for your creative brand. Hello everyone, if you're new here, I am Catherine, owner of two e-commerce stores slash Etsy business. We've got Katnipp, which is an illustration and kind of personal brand, and we've got BABYBLUU, which is a graphic design art print business targeted towards pregnant ladies. And in this video, it's been well requested is how I picked my business names and some little tips and tricks to how you could pick your business name too. So whether you're a crafter, an artist, whatever you are, freelancer, whatever, I'm going to talk about how I picked my names and some little tips and tricks that I learned at university and doing some research online about how you can pick your name too. So the first thing we're going to go into is the different types of business name. Now there is a TED talk by Jonothan, which I'll leave a link in the description below, and he goes through the different types of business names that you can kind of derive yours from. So let's talk about the basic one, which is an eponymous name. An eponymous name is basically your name that you give to something, so you're giving your name to your business. So if you're a blogger, a personal brand, or anything like that, you would probably use this name. You have to bear in mind what you want to say. If it's a personal brand, if you're going to be selling courses, if you're going to be selling your fashion style, then you might use an eponymous name. You give your name to your brand. So things like Walt Disney, that is an eponymous name. Walter Disney, my senpai, gave his name as his personal brand, and it is known to this day. It is now its own legendary status up there, but that is an example of an eponymous name. The next one is an acronym. So that would basically be like KFC, it would be DHL, things like that. IKEA apparently is a acronym. I'm not actually sure what for though. So you can also make it an acronym. Another thing, you could have a descriptive name like Beautiful Home and Garden or Poundland, because everything's a pound and it's like a little land where you can buy loads of stuff from. So you could choose a descriptive name, or things like Katnipp illustrations. I mean, mine was descriptive. I'm now paring it back to more just being Katnipp, but it was a descriptive name. You knew what it was about because it said illustrations on the end, so you could have arts or, you know, that sort of thing. That's descriptive. You could also have a compound or composite name. Now that is what I did. So here I have my little notebook. This is so old, guys. I took this into work when I had a full-time job, and I wrote down all these ideas of what I wanted to call my business name. So I made a little mind map of what I wanted my brand to be about. I wanted it to be warm, fuzzy, fluffy, cute, fun, and I wanted to just bring fun and joy into people's lives with my artwork. So I made a little list of things that I love, and I mashed those words up together. So if you can see on this page, I made a list of mash up words, and I just went down, and as you can see at the bottom there, Katnipp was born. And as I was writing these down and creating mind maps and mashing up words, that is a composite word. Things like FedEx, Facebook, they are composites. They're a mix of dictionary words that has been mashed together to create a new word. My friends also own a women's wear company called Lee L, and it is so clever because it is Natalie and Dan Yell's name mixed together to create a women's wear brand called Liel. So just have a play around, have some fun. What do you want your brand to be about? What vibe do you want it to give off? And that is a composite business name, a mix and a word that you have made up. And that's how I did it. I wrote down a mix of things I loved. Katnipp was a mix between my name and the fact that I love cats. Yeah, that's right. And then I found different spellings because I used to get called Katie a lot and Katie K, and I wrote that down. I wrote Katie down, I wrote K down, I wrote cats down, I wrote fluffy down, I wrote everything down, and then I came up with the name Katnipp. And for some reason, to me, it rolled off the tongue, and as you can see, it was last on my list because there was something about it that I really liked, and I kept mixing it about, and then I went back to the original Katnipp, and that is how I picked my business name. I just created a list of all the things I loved. I created mind maps. I wanted something that suited the brand, which was going to be pastel, fun loving, and just basically joy and happiness. So that's how I came up with my business name. Another thing you could do is real word names, so actual names in the dictionary, but the problem with this is most of the time they will be taken. I mean, there is hundreds of millions of businesses in the world, so chances are using a real word or name, it's probably going to be taken. So that's the downside to using that. The next thing is to use non-English names, so you could find a name from a different language that really suited your brand. It sounded nice, it rolled off the tongue. You could take that language and you could mix it with another word from the English language to create a new word entirely. So yeah, non-English as well. So they're the types of business names you can kind of go for. But one thing you have to bear in mind is, what do you want your brand to say? Or what do you want to come across as? Even if you're your own personal brand, what's it going to look like? You want that name to represent that brand. You want to think about what your brand wants to say about you, and does your name represent your brand? For me personally, Katnipp, it was fun, it was light-hearted, and I really liked it. It just rolled off the tongue and it just felt right to me. Also, bearing in mind, if you already have a business now and you're worried that if you change your name that's going to be the end of you, just bearing in mind that some of the biggest companies actually changed their name. For example, Nike actually used to be called Blue Ribbon Sports. Who would have knew? And then they changed the name to Nike, or Nike if you're American, or any other country, but we say Nike up in the northeast of England over here. And it meant the Greek goddess of victory, which is great. That represents them as a brand. They're all about just do it. They're all about empowerment and winning and success and sport. So can you really imagine Blue Ribbon Sport taking off? Well, they're the same company, it's just they changed their name. Or Pete's Super Submarines, aka Subway. Delicious. So yeah, if you are just starting out and you're thinking you really don't like your name, or you really want to change your business name, it is not too late. All these big brands change theirs, and guess what? You can go farther with a good, catchy business name, which is what I'm going to get into now. Things to avoid when picking a business name. Number one, you don't want it to be too long. You don't want a really long name because people are not going to remember that. Number two, it's hard to pronounce. You don't obviously want a name that's going to be really hard to pronounce, like a tongue twister, because again, it's going to be really hard to remember and to type it into Google. Imagine if you had a really hard word to pronounce. People remembered it, but they weren't sure how to spell it because it was hard to pronounce, and then they couldn't find you on Google. Not good. Try and stay away from words that are hard to pronounce. Number two, offensive. So this goes back into if you're using non-English words, or if you are using English words, just double check them in other languages in case they're going to be offensive words in any other language. Obviously, if you want an offensive brand, this might be okay, but I don't think that's the best marketing strategy ever. But yeah, try and avoid offensive words. Make sure you do your research. If you found a name that you like the ring of, just double check in other countries that it's not offensive. Okay? Things to look out for in a good business name. You want it to be memorable. Short and sweet and memorable go hand in hand. So if it's short and sweet and it's memorable, people are going to remember you. They're going to type that right up into Google. As well as memorable, it also has to be easy to say, nice and easy to roll off the tongue, like Subway, Pepsi, Coke, Disney, Katnipp. I'm joking. So those are things you need to look out for. They need to be short, sweet and catchy. They don't want to be too long and over the top. So that is something to bear in mind with a business name. With me, basically, I wrote down all the things that I loved, what I wanted my brand to embody, which was a cute, fluffy environment for creatives, and also sharing cute, fluffy, friendly work that put a smile on people's face, and cats put a smile on my face. I mean, they're adorable, am I right? It was a mix between my name and that kind of embodiment that I wanted to give my brand, and that's how I came up with Katnipp. Now, another thing you have to bear in mind is after you've picked a business name, you will have to do your research to make sure that no one else has got that business name, because obviously the last thing you want to do is to go onto Google and realise that it's already taken or trademarked and you have to start from scratch. So what I did is, after I picked my name, Katnipp, I made sure that the domain was free. So you can type in things like domain checker or something like that, just to make sure it's free. And I typed in Katnipp the way I spelt it, and it was free. So I purchased katnipp.com and I purchased katnipp.co.uk, which was really short and sweet. The only thing I didn't do, however, was check my social media handles. Now, at first it was fine. So Katnipp was available as a YouTube channel, which was great, but Katnipp as an Instagram name wasn't. So I had to use Katnipp Illustrations, and that kind of was an embodiment of what I did, and it would draw the creative audience to me because they would know what my brand was about. It was heavily based on illustrations, and it still is to this day. It's an illustration business. It is a graphic design / business as well, and I draw lots of cute illustrations, and that's basically what it is. But my actual domain isn't Katnipp Illustrations, it is Katnipp. And I was very much inspired by Disney and Sanrio. By the way, Sanrio is a great name. It's actually, he actually changed his company name to Sanrio, meaning San in Japanese, which means 3, and Rio, which means river in Spanish, and he wanted it to embody the fact of 3 rivers coming together. It's such a good name. I love Sanrio. You want to think how your business is going to be in the future and what you want for your business. I was very heavily inspired by Sanrio and Disney, and I wanted Katnipp to become one of those things. Like, I wanted my brand to be Katnipp, and it would be this fun place with these fun characters that made people smile, and I could have things like Katnipp Studios, which is what I do now, and comics like Katnipp Comics. So that's what I wanted it to do. I wanted Katnipp to be the embodiment of my brand, and then anything off that kind of stemmed from Katnipp. That was my long-term, and still is my long-term goal. That is why I picked the name Katnipp.com, not just Katnipp Illustrations, because I don't just want it to be about illustrations in the future. Wouldn't it be pretty wicked to be an animated story? So you have to bear in mind what you want for your brand in the future. How do you want to go? Do you just want to be a personal art brand, or do you want to go further and do you want to become a company with all this stuff on? And I did. Katnipp has always been in my mind a brand where I could employ people to bring joy and happiness to the world, but it was also a lot of my personality interjected into it, like Disney. I hope you found this video helpful. This is how I did it with my embarrassing list of mixed names. That's how I created my business name, and it stuck, and I don't ever plan on changing it, really, unless I really have to, but hopefully I don't have to. So I'll see you in the next video. I hope you found it helpful. I know this video has been a long time coming. Thank you very, very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Alright then, love you, goodbye.